Hi there, it's Liz Yule from Old Staples Crafts again, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for joining me today. I've got a fairly simple, fairly straightforward project for you today, using one of the Hostess stamp sets. I think these sometimes get overlooked because they're right at the back of the catalogue. This is one of the ones from the annual catalogue. This is on page 189, and it's the fabulous Flora stamp set, and it's always worth bearing in mind with the Hostess stamp sets that the price that you pay is subsidised. So here we've got, if you take it on the wood blocks, it's actually worth £23. So if it was a retail item, straightforward retail item, it would be £23. But as you're buying it with Hostess rewards, it's only £13.50. And on the clear mount, instead of £16, it's only £10. So really worth having a look at these Hostess stamp sets, and just don't miss out on the incredible value. If you're placing a large order, then Stampin' Up really want to thank you. So anyway, so this is the set. Say I've got it on the clear mount version, and I'm just using two stamps today. I'm using the this image and the hello. So I've got these mounted up. This probably needs to be on a slightly larger block. It's on a D block, but I know it works because that's what I did for this. And then the hello is just on our baby A block. I'm going to change it up very slightly. I do generally like to change these things up. So this was Whisper White, Vellum. This is glimmer paper, not glimmer paper, I always get it named wrong, shimmer paper. And then one of the, these, what do they call them, delicate white doilies. So, yeah, very similar supplies, but we're going to change it up and actually use rose red cardstock, which is what I used to colour the flower. I think this is a hollyhock. It looks sort of hollyhockish. This is really, really easy watercolouring. This is watercolouring for people who don't really do watercolouring. So let's have a look at this. So as I say, delicate doilies, they come in a pack of 24. Just be very careful. They do have a tendency to stick together because when they're manufactured, they're stamped in layers. So you do need to make sure that you've only got one when you unpeel them. So that's our doily. Then I've got these written, all these measurements written down somewhere, and what have I done? I think oh, here we go. Right, so the shimmer cardstock is 4 1/8 by 2 7/8, and the vellum is 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. Don't worry about writing it down, as ever. They will be, the dimensions will be on the associated blog post, which is linked below. So that's just so that there's a little border around the edge of the cardstock, and then I've got just a strip of the rose red and then a standard A5 piece of cardstock scored down the middle and folded in half to make an A6 card. And it's worth actually remembering if you're using the shimmer card for something like this and you're then stamping on a little scrap, don't be tempted to use the white or the vanilla, because this is actually sort of part way between the two. So do always make sure that you use the same shimmer paper or card. So let's get started. I don't need that for the moment. All I need is this and my archival black ink pad, which has decided to hide itself on my desk, which is always helpful. I again had it just now. I know I did because it was on my desk. Talk amongst yourselves while I'm finding it. And it's basically what I've done is I've put all of the ink pads together so that I had them stacked up. So I've got the basic black, rose red, or indeed rouge red, rose red, crushed curry, and garden green. So as I was saying, let's take the basic black archival and just ink up our stamp. It's sometimes worth doing a little twist on these stamps just to make sure that they are not only fully inked, but also that you don't end up with the impression of the fabric, because these are fabric rather than the usual foam. So, not quite sure why I've got, oh, I know what it was. This pad, I was trying to work out why I've got pink on the back of this stamp, and it's because the pad, I really should have cleaned it. It was covered in red ink after one of my classes, and I thought I'd cleaned it, and clearly I hadn't. So there we are, that's nicely stamped. Pop that to one side. I will clean my stamp later on my Stampin' Scrub. The Archival Black will stain photopolymer, but it comes right off. The red rubber is, as long as you use the stamping mist. So this I just want on a little end of a piece of cardstock, and again I shall clean that later. Don't need that anymore. So let's pop that to one side. I am going to leave the ink just to dry a little bit longer, because I do want to make sure that it is absolutely dry. There's no reason why it shouldn't be, but just in case, I don't want it to smudge. So there we are, that's going to be our little hello, which, as I say, we're just putting on coloured cardstock this time just to change it up a bit. So, I'll mount up everything else onto the card base while we're waiting for this to dry. This I am going to cut in half. So what I'm going to do is fold it so that I know I have got it actually in half and not a rough approximation of in half, only because I want the same pattern to be poking out on each side of the image. And then I'm going to attach this to the vellum. I'm going to attach it, I don't know why I did that, I can just turn this upside down. I'm going to attach it to the vellum with fast fuse before I do anything else. So I'm just going to put a bit of fast fuse on either side of the middle, just to, in fact let's find something that looks vaguely like the middle, there we are. And then I just want this poking out the side. I don't need it poking out too much. If I bring in the original, sorry, stretching across the camera. If I bring in the original, you can see it's just poking out a wee bit. So we're looking for just a little bit to come out. So probably about there will do nicely. And then I can line up this side so that it's even across the piece of vellum. So all we're doing really is stretching the doily a little bit so that it looks as if it's right the way across. And there we are. And then we can pop some more fast fuse down the centre of that. And I'm going to do it all down the centre of the piece so that the fast fuse doesn't show through when we then put the image on top. So this is just going to go a little bit further over. That looks straight, so there we are. And this is why you don't want your adhesive to be visible. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but it's very obvious, particularly on the coloured cardstock, that there is adhesive there. So that's not a look we're looking for. But it's fine because we're going to be covering it up like that. So that's perfect. Right, so let us bring in an aqua painter, and this is the smaller of the two aqua painters, and a piece of kitchen paper, and we can start our really complicated watercolouring. I'm going to bring all of these in. So I'm going to start with the rose red, and I've already loaded up the lid with some of the ink. And all I'm going to do is just pick some of that up. I don't want a huge amount of water on here, because what I want is to be able to, can you see? Yeah. Yes, you can, just about. I want to bring the colour out so that the darker colour is in the middle, and then if it does fade, I want it, oops, that actually doesn't matter, because it's all supposed to be a bit round the edge. This is the whole idea, is that we do not do brilliant watercolouring on this. So actually, you know, having a mistake is always good. Right, I'm just going to dry that a bit because I want a bit more colour in the middle, just so that it's sort of shaded. And I'm doing this flower first because I want to add crushed curry in the middle, but I want the rose red to be reasonably dry before I put the crushed curry on. And then again, we're just doing a sort of rough, putting it in roughly the right area, but not worrying too much about going over the edge. So that's the rose red. Clean my brush off. Get rid of that one so that I don't put my fist in it, which has been known. Going to bring in the garden green next. And again, just pick up a bit of colour and I don't mind that some of it is darker than the other. That is rather the point. And clean that off. Get rid of that one. And then all we need to do is bring in our crushed curry. And then we're pretty much... Whoops, that's not what I want to do. What I want, actually, that probably needs a bit more ink in the lid. And there we go. Right, so that's all our watercolouring done. Then I'm just going to dry this a little bit because it is a little bit damp still, so I'm just bringing in my heat gun, and I'm going to use it on setting 1, which is, it does have 2 settings. 2 is for embossing and 1 is for just drying. Whoops, that's on 2, gentle drying. So, oh, actually, while I'm doing that, this is my March hostess code. So it's UCCUKJFE. If you're placing an order, or I should say when you're placing an order with me, and there's a link in the description bar below to my online shop, if your order is between £25 and £150, if you use that code, then all the orders that are placed using that code will get added together to get hostess rewards. So it means that for orders that don't quite qualify for the hostess code, you get to have a chance to get some of the hostess rewards, which I think is quite a nice little benefit of ordering with me. Right, so and also if your order's over £25, you then get to join my VIP customer base. And you get an extra newsletter and extra projects that won't be anywhere else. So this time I'm going to bring this in and pop it just here on a dimensional, because then it's not tone on tone, which would be a bit too subtle, I think. I say I'm going to add it with a dimensional. The dimensional fairies have been around. Here we go. Need to get another packet of these out, I feel. So yeah, it would be really nice to be able to share some hostess codes with you if you aren't normally going to be able to benefit from them. And of course, remember, during Celebration, so I'm going to put a bit more adhesive there. During Celebration, you also get to benefit from additional free stuff. If your order is £45 or a multiple thereof, you get an item out of Celebration. But do remember to get onto those quickly, because they are going to start selling out and they won't be replaced. So if you've got something in mind, don't miss out. So there you are, two cards that are basically the same, but I think look really different. So I hope you enjoyed that. Give it a go if you get your own hostess rewards. So for those of you that place £150 or higher orders. And remember, during celebration you get an extra, if your order's over £200, you get an extra £20 of stamping rewards. So this would be a great stamp set to get if you are one of those lucky people with that size order. And also remember, during celebration, which only runs to the end of March, which is not very long away. I'm recording this at, on the 11th of March. So we've only got 3 more weeks to go. It's suddenly going to go. And at the end of that, the extra 2 stamp sets that you can get for joining my team will no longer be available. And remember, it's any product you want up to £130, and any stamp sets in any of 2 additional stamp sets out of annual or spring summer catalogue, and you only pay £99 including postage. What's not to like? So I hope that's of interest. There's a link to joining my team, my online store, and the associated blog post for this below. If you've enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to see more videos, hit the subscribe button, which is my face at the end of the video. So I look forward to seeing you again very soon, and thank you for joining me. All the best.